Joining me now is an environmentalist, John Ekoko. John, good morning. It's good to see you.
Good morning, Mike.
All right. We just saw Mozambique is recovering from a cyclone. Many years ago, we used to say that Africa generally is not prone to some of these things. Earth tremors, we've had that in Nigeria. Earthquake, we've had that in South Africa. Cyclone now, related to this is new. What is really going on?
Once again, good morning.
Good morning.
And before we look at what has happened, let us, pay condolence to the dead. It's really unfortunate. And the scale of it, would make anybody worry. But essentially, there are two things happening here. We cannot actually rule out the effect of climate change. And secondly, we cannot rule out the urban settlement pattern. You find out that, yes, the depression that caused the cyclone is much heavier. And it has made the storm itself to be more devastating. And this depression itself is being fueled by the climate change.
All right. We talk about urbanization and all of those, but these activities, aren't there signs of physical, infrastructural, economic developments? We all are striving, all African countries are striving towards development. So how do we reconcile all these?
That is a good observation. The issue is there's what you call hard engineering.
Okay.
And most African countries do not have the resources. Let's take an example. You want to build a dam. You want to build a bond wall, walls that will contain the water parts. These things are expensive. So what happens? You go halfway, you cannot complete it. Or when you build it, you do not meet the spec required for it to.
But most of these heavy constructions are usually done by companies from outside of Africa. Their contractors handle them. In fact, most of the major mega constructions are not done by African companies.
How many can they do?
What does this mean, or what does this say of man's activities, and can it be curbed?
What is happening now is a fundamental restructuring of the continent itself. You'll find out that there are a lot of activities going on now, which is actually impacting directly on the environment. Let's take it. You have this either illegal mining, illegal sand dredging, even look at the big Lagos project, they call Atlantic City.
Yes.
All of these are impacting the environment, and they are shifting the pressure points. Number one, the water course itself has been altered majorly. Number two, the settlement pattern is unplanned. All of these things put pressure on the environment. And at the end of the day, you'll find out that some areas will give. Other areas will do what? Buckle up. Look at the Mozambique example now. The pressure system, right, produced the cyclone. The intensity is unusual. And in the same way too, the storm itself, this is the heaviest in how many years? Look at the devastation it has caused. It's not usual. We need to come back and do what? Plan our environment very well.
How do we plan that?
Thank you very much. We have this, like I would like to say, there's hard engineering where you want to build infrastructure. And you don't have the means. Then rather than contesting with the environment, look for adaptive projects.
Like?
Yes, number one, we know that instead of looking for big projects like dams and bulwarks, plant trees. Keep the wetlands that separate the dwelling place from the ocean, because they act as a sponge. They help to suck water that prevents the water from overflowing to the land. Secondly, too, when you want to build projects, look at the projects itself that can actually tap the strength of that environment. For example, there's this Makoko project, right? Floating schools.
Yes.
Because they do not have the means to build a sustainable infrastructure there. they are now building floating projects so that when the rains come, right, the people can just simply move up and live their life.
Now, for Nigeria that still engages in gas flaring, what are we in danger of?
Well, gas flaring, the first effect of it is the carbon released to the atmosphere and the pollution that it causes. And these things, of course, come back in various forms. Acid rain is there, environmental eating is there, you know, the dryness. The long and short of it is that if we just must preserve our environment, gas flaring must come to an end.
All right, gas flaring must come to an end. John Ekoko, environmentalist, thank you for your time on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you, Veronica.